And just there we are. We are live. I grabbed up Adam Lawson. This is going to be a very interesting episode of Comicsgate tonight. Not just because I'm here, not just because I still refuse to get a haircut. I'm going for the 121 gigawatts look. If you know what I'm saying.
I love that.
Saying. You get it. Shadowhawk too. He's going for it. That's pretty much suitable. Yeah, you got the Marty McFly. I've got the Doc Brown, and I put it together. Make a ton of money. Let's say hi to everybody first. But Adam Lawson's a really interesting guy. His book is really interesting. It's a hardcore horror book. Really, really interesting. So we'll get to it. He does other stuff as well. He writes for TV, like literally right now as we speak, for Netflix, and he's done other cool stuff, other cool crowdfunding campaigns. So we can learn, we can talk, we can ask questions, have a good time, and hopefully we will sell a ton of the Kill Journal, his book, right now on Indiegogo in demand, which is going to be shipping in April 2021, just like the Mermaids. All right, let's say hi to Dean, who showed up again. He's embarrassed because he knew he took too long to subscribe, but thank you for subscribing, Dean. Violet, great to see you. Thanks as always, Violet. You are fantastic. You are the cream in our coffee. Shadowhawk, good to see you. Hail Shadowhawk. We need feedback from Shadowhawk. Tell us what you think. Don't hide out on us, Shadowhawk. Tell us what you're thinking. Mighty Joe, great to see you. Hail back right to you. And Earth Mind, great to see you as well. Guys, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, because that way my sub count goes up. The community gets bigger. We have even more fun. As you guys know, I'm really sticking to a nice discipline. I think we got 15 nights in a row now of one-on-one with a very cool Comicsgate creator, talking projects and anything else that's very cool that's related. 9 o'clock every night EST. Great to see you as well, Leg Kick. Well, we've got to start this action because there's like a million things I want to talk to Adam about. Adam, thanks for showing up and hanging out.
Absolutely. Are you kidding? Right. I'm happy to be on here. It's super. I love what you do. I love energy, and I love that you talk super fast, faster than me, which is rare. And so I'm ready to rock.
It makes you like a normal person on a scale. It's on a scale. You're normal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna fix that. We're gonna try and mess it. See, now it starts out. Adam L is normal. Adam P not so normal. Well, have you seen the Kill Journal? All right, so maybe this is going to even out a little bit. Look at this campaign. What is this guy doing with a machete? That's not nice. I have done some horror stuff too, but not, this is, not, whatever, but not this.
Yeah, I mean, but you did the Undead College, right? With
well, that's
zombies eating the sexy girls.
That poor girl getting like chewed into a million pieces, and all right, so that's pretty bad too. But I guess we're kind of I'm no better than you. What can I say? I'm trying to be, but we're both sick bastards. So it's a very cool looking book. As I was saying before, I did meet your artist for this book on with Comic Mark's UK channel, and he's a hell of a nice guy. So what is this? It's a horror graphic novel?
Yeah, so it's a horror graphic novel. Okay. And what I say about the Kill Journal is the horror story that picks up after the credits roll in the movie, right? At the end of the horror movie, there's a couple of survivors. All their friends are dead. They're covered in mud and blood. They've been traumatized at a level that maybe only a soldier could understand. And, then the police show up and the credits roll, right? The end of the horror movie. Well, this story picks up after that experience. And these people who are essentially trauma survivors that are trying to cope now with the fact that their friends and family are dead, and they wind up on St. George's church steps.
All right, so just so I'm getting it now, for the normal format of a horror movie, 7, 8 teenagers go in, they're going to do something, going to a haunted house or something like that. Everybody but a couple of them get murdered. The ones who aren't murdered are survivors, and they're effed up, like they're really upset. Right. And you're picking up the story in continuity. Basically, that just happened to your cast, whatever's left of your cast. And now they're going on with life. And that's what the Kill Journal is. I've never seen that done before.
I thank you. I love it. It's the band of survivors, and they've all survived different attacks by a revenant. And a revenant is a vengeful spirit back from the dead. bent on revenge.
Okay.
Sometimes they're called slashers, but a revenant is even a slightly broader term than just slashers. But so they are they're grouped together, and they're meeting at, like, there's a support group. St. George is running a support group for those who've survived,
Wow.
getting killed and chopped up. But the reason he has that support group is he's trying to recruit people for his war against these revenants, because a revenant butchered his son and his congregation, and he feels divinely called to stop them. So
right.
he
So
these support, but really he's recruiting.
All right, so I'm gonna take a step back to make sure I get it. I know the Revenant, like there was a Leonardo DiCaprio movie with that too, right? So there's the term of Revenant is like used. It's like Bigfoot, not like it's Bigfoot,
right.
but like it's a common. It's like I didn't know that Chenoo was not something that Graham Nolan made up. I thought he made it up, and I'm like, where did he get Chenoo from? But that's an ice monster myth. But the Revenants are spirits that have come back from the dead to do bad stuff.
That's right. Even the Crow would be considered a revenant, or Clint Eastwood's character in High Plains Drifter is a revenant, right? And so in this case, these are evil little spirits, and they started out as maybe somebody who was even somewhat asking about Chris.
Is he still unemployed? You doing inside jokes in the chat to screw us up? Hey, by the way, chat, did you know what a revenant was? I'd heard the word, but I hadn't. Maybe I should read a book every now and then. I'm really beating myself up tonight. No, don't read books. I pay people to read books. Look at this. Lawson's got it all read and figured out. I could do a deal with him. Why do I have to know what I'm talking about? This is okay. So that's interesting. So the support group is for people who have been attacked by revenants, or just attacked in general,
attacked by revenants.
Okay.
And now revenants, our story, have some supernatural element to them. So, for example, there's one of them. His name is Mr. Crispy. He a war vet, living on the streets, homeless. And some folks thought it would be funny to fill his pockets full of fireworks, and they lit him on fire. And he ended up dying in the burn unit, and is now back for revenge, right? And so, and it's not that Mr. Crispy wasn't wronged, but his response and the innocent casualties along the way don't justify it, right?
Now,
These are
Mr. Crispy. So Mr. Crispy's bad guy. He's a revenant.
Mr. Crispy's a bad guy. Yeah,
that's kind of a good nickname. That's a good name.
And and I give that to Brian Kriskow, if you know him.
Yeah,
he wrote Six Gun Gorilla. So Mr. Crispy was a character that he and I created in one of our the mini stories. There's we unlock these 4 stories in the campaign that are these little origin stories about each of our main characters, and Mr. Crispy was the one who got Finch, one of our characters. And so
is there a visual of Mr. Crispy in this campaign?
There might be, but let me
I'm asking that is because if you have a strong design for Mr. Crispy and kind of a nice little explanation of him, that's an iconic character. That's another
I absolutely think he is. In fact, if you don't mind, I can share a screen one second, and I can show you.
Adam was sharing. He has like multiple cameras, guys. He was sharing like 3 other cameras of himself. There's like multiple Adams. Well, plus you and me. It'd be like a room full of Adams. Rick Saylor, how's it going? Good to see you,
dude. Rick is legit. Rick is
Rick is all right.
Legit.
Rick is good.
And people. I love and Rob bringing up Chris. That was
Replicator's out of his mind. He's out of his mind, and he keeps duplicating.
I know, right?
You know what we should do is we should change our name to the Duplicators. And that would really upset him.
So here it is. So here you can see. So here is a Mr. Crispy.
Let me see.
If you share on the screen, so you can see him. So this little mini story was not done by Jason Krager.
Do I have the right? Oh, I do have the right screen. Sorry, go ahead.
You got it.
Yeah.
So there he is.
Okay.
So these are the unlettered page. This story actually has already got out to backers, but you can see. So this is Mr. Crispy getting revenge on the people for who lit him up.
Nice. All right.
So there's one. Here's one of the many remnants.
Who did the art on that? That art's really nice.
So that's Maxi Dallow is the line artist, and Mike Spicer is the color artist. Mike Spicer is amazing. He did Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, and Murder Falcon, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
And then Maxi did Jack Irons, if you've been following that campaign. But so this is one of our revenants, right? So with all of them, what's cool about them is there is a bit of an origin to how they were created and what to be, right? And so killing a revenant isn't like you can just run them over with a car or you can shoot them with a gun, because they're a spiritual problem, right? They're a spiritual problem manifesting. So you got all this spiritual problem. You've got to usually go back to the night that made them, and you've got to recreate it, or you have to find some, for example, Jason Voorhees, right? You have to take him back.
Let me just interrupt you for 1 second. Your audio is breaking up a little bit. Is it possibly an internet thing that you might be able to like just snap your fingers? Internet magic? That seems like it worked.
Okay. Am I back? Am I in it?
Yeah, you're good.
Breaking up? Or no? Okay.
No, you're good. Let's
Jason Voorhees, right, from Friday the 13th, you have to take him back to Camp Crystal Lake and drown him in a place where he was once tortured as a kid, right? A similar kind of thing. So hunting these revenants is hard work because you can't beat them in a fist fight. You can't out tough guy them. And you can only delay their inevitability until you find the right way, the right ritual, if you will, to kill them. And hopefully you can stay alive long enough and you can decrease the body count enough along the way. So I like that feeling of these survivors going into a situation where they're outmanned, they're outgunned, and there's a good chance they don't make it out, but they're here for the fight anyways.
They got to figure out how to survive. Interesting. Yeah, and I like Mr. Crispy. That's very cool.
Yep.
So
Crispy.
Kill Journal. Let's bring up Kill Journal. So how many pages is Kill Journal?
So Kill Journal is 112 pages of story, and then with cover, and then add another 8 covers on top of that for the 4 mini stories, and then the 4 22-page issues. So it's a full, proper graphic novel. And I know there's always mixed feelings about that. Rob, the replicator, and I have talked about it. He does, more incremental books that I like to get the full story out and go. It's obviously trickier from a financial standpoint, right? To build 112 pages of high quality art. I write them and I letter them and I do all the layout as far as for delivery. Oh, wow. But it's you got to go in with a little bit of faith that you can make it work.
Yeah, I mean, like Von Klaus, I had him on Friday night, and Von just got Monster MD in print, and he's showing off copies of Monster MD, and he could have done a shorter book, but Von has a story to tell, and he wanted to tell more and more and more of the story, and I don't know how many pages he wound up with. I think around 120. The book is like thick as a brick, and it's a beautiful looking book. And when I talk to people about starting books, one of the things about it is, first of all, it depends if you're making it as a business or if you're doing it as a passion project, or if you're like, look, on this first one, I'm going to put in more pages than I would probably have to get the sale, just because I really want to over deliver and impress the hell out of everybody. So just like a lot of considerations, but you also have other work that you do. Like this isn't just your business is not just publishing comics and graphic novels. So for you to look at it and say, well, I can afford to invest in this and make it the way I want to make it. If you've got the budget to do it, you make it the way you want to make it. The thing that I don't like to see is if people think like, well, if I have a 48-page graphic novel and I know that the market is willing to pay $25 for it, if I put an extra 40 pages in there and figure, you know what, I'm going to sell almost twice as many because look, I've got 88 pages. The math doesn't really work that way because more pages doesn't necessarily mean more sales. They don't automatically equate. So you can very easily get in some trouble. Anyone can, with not being really tight on what their budget is, what they can afford to do. what their expectation of sales are, their ability to deliver. So they have to be really careful. So it's good to look at, yes, absolutely, an incremental offer like Rob was talking about, and then you come back with a sequel, and then a lot of people that bought your first book will come along and buy your next. That is absolutely true, especially if it's a direct sequel. Zombies and Mermaids ain't the same thing. I proved that. But Zombies and Zombies are the same thing. When we do College of the Dead Spring Break, we'll do better than probably College of the Dead, at least the first one, and roughly somewhere in the neighborhood of the second one or something like that. Because you build an audience for it. But yeah, I'm with Rob on the economics of it and the promotion of it. We're really in agreement on that, I'm sure. I just understand that every now and then you get a special situation.
And I think Rob is right. And Adam, I think here's the thing. I think Rob is right. Is the thing. Even though I go against it, I think Rob is right and you're right. I think what I'm thinking of is long-term distribution, right?
Yeah.
Is that the Kill Journal is now a complete story. The 8th one I did before, it's a complete story. We can now sell that graphic novel, which will be up at our Shopify store when they get here into print.
Yeah.
I'll be soliciting distributors and try to get the book in retail, through bookshop and traditional bookstores. And I have a sales rep on that. And a 48 page is tough to sell.
Sure.
And in that lineup, in other markets, right?
Yeah.
Because people won't pay $25 for 48 pages
sure.
in another market.
For sure.
So that's what I was trying to say. If crowdfunding is kind of your rhythm, then I think Rob is right. I think you're right. I'm hoping, at least I'm venturing. I've got to still figure out this, phase 2. I'm still in getting phase 2.
Well, number one rule of publishing is, keep your promises. And then number 2 rule is don't lose money. So if your numbers are basically break even and you've kept your promise and you're break even, you're good, and then you can build, you can keep building, and everything looks high end. It looks really carefully done. I have a quick question for you. So would you have an ability to reboot your modem or switch from Wi-Fi to what, or could you switch from Wi-Fi to hardwired? Is that possible?
I can't go to hardwired, but let me see. I can reboot the modem if you don't mind me bouncing out for 1 second.
Yeah, no, go ahead. And what we'll do is we're going to play the trailer also, because people, I don't think I got a chance to see it. All right, so I'm going to hit it right now. Let's give it a whirl.
All right.
My name is Sydney Valentine, and I'm a survivor.
Nice.
A revenant slaughtered everyone I love, including my daughter. They're evil spirits, back from the dead, who wield machetes and tire irons, and a bullet to the head won't stop them. After one butchered his congregation, St. George claims God called him to hunt the revenants, and he's recruiting survivors to join him. Most won't make it out alive, but at least they're taking a stand. God has his book of life, and St. George has his kill journal.
That's really cool looking. And guys, I like these 30-second trailers, these short trailers. My trailers are usually a minute, 9 seconds, and Ted Zagaro does a phenomenal job on them. But I think we're going to go shorter on the trailers in the future, because these 30-second trailers are really kind of badass. A 30-second trailer, like you're in, you make your point, you're out. People are kind of psyched. Paul Gibbs says, "Hail, Adam, hail Comicsgate, and hail chat, hail to everyone, hail to Paul Gibb." Brian Blevins says, "Hey, Adam Post, I'm going to let you talk on everything, but I have to say that At Fail Superhero Company is the best Adam in crowdfunding right now." That's a terrible thing to say, Brian. And here I was just thinking of you this morning, saying I haven't gotten Brian on a show. I knew I said I was going to. The best Adam in crowdfunding? But best by what criteria? Best dancer? I don't know, maybe. His comic is cool and everything like that. Now I'm at war with Brian Blevins. I will have Billy Tucci come visit you. All right? He knows where you live. Paul Gibb says, Kill Journal looks like that video game Slaughterhouse. This really is damned awesome looking. And I love the animation in it. It's like Replicator style animation, what Rob did for the Replicator. I really like it. I want animation now. Look how violent this is. This is like, you're going to get your money's worth because you're not going to really see this anywhere else. Not that you want every comic that you read to have this level of gore and violence and stuff like that, but this is really well done. It's rare to be able to get to see it, so it's kind of an opportunity to back this and buy it. He's got monthly digital issues. He's spending a fortune on this he's got this passion to do this. But he's also a professional writer, and he's also a producer. He's writing for Netflix, and he was explaining a little bit to me what their series is and what they're doing. It sounds really cool, and I'm sure he'll be willing to talk about it a little bit. A leather-bound hardcover edition is pretty badass. You know, everybody wants a leather-bound hardcover edition. Yeah, this is pretty badass. Pretty badass. He's got a shirt. Everybody needs a shirt. He's got a mask, so you can scare the hell out of your, family members with this. He knows, I guess, because he's in like TV and film and stuff. They know how to make these crazy props. Crazy props are good. How cool. And I've seen this. I want to ask him about this too. This 8th book. Oh, there he is. We're waiting on him. He's waiting on us. All right, you're back. What's up?
Hey, any better? Any better? The reboot?
Yeah, you seem great. You seem like you're great. It's a good practice to just try to reboot if you ever have issues, but it works. Yeah, we just looked at the trailer. The trailer is freaking amazing for this.
Thank you. Yeah, there's 2 of them. I always try to build an animated something, and Rob and I have talked about this as well too. I feel like animation is such an exciting way to get people in. You have a really limited time to catch people's interest, and so I try to give them the most dynamic thing I can throw at them.
Yeah,
and I think an animation, because it's not only plays on the page, it plays in every post, it plays in ads. It's like you got to get all the mileage you can out of it. And yeah, and you were saying, speaking of, doing something sort of special, we did a leather bound edition for this.
Yeah.
Right? Once again, not only just going to 112 pages, but now it's a leather bound, and it's this embossed leather bound that has
not all these leather. That's straight up leather, huh?
Oh no, it's a faux leather. If you just for some folks that might be a problem, and I wanted to make the book as accessible to everyone.
Oh, it does say faux leather bound. Okay.
Yeah, just for some folks.
It's vegan safe.
It's a vegan safe, yeah. Which has some benefits in printing, because you can get away with a little more what you can do to it.
Okay.
But it has inside of it, it's a little hard to tell from the picture. There's all this detailing in it, and there's all these symbols hidden inside of the cover, and it's based on this 12th century Bible in its design.
Oh wow!
Saint George, right? He's keeping a record of all the revenants they kill and everything that happens. And so, in my thought is that he would be keeping it in an old Bible, and so in a way, he is that you are reading a book that is written by the hero in the story, if you will. Thank you, Professor Murph. Thank you, Murph. His book War Party.
Professor Murph. Yeah,
his War Party. His book War Party looks pretty rad. It's interesting because I saw it way early on, and I remember chatting with Tompa about it right after I first saw it, and I was like, dude, have you seen this War Party thing? This is like, this is epic.
Everybody likes it. Like, and he's another guy that's like, listen, my wife and I have a deal here. I'm making these great comics. They're going to be very affordable. That's the way it is, because he has another career. He is a professor, and he's made an investment. He's not a kid who's hustling to do it, and a lot of us are kids hustling to do it. That's my explanation. But he's making a big investment. He's got a successful campaign, and it looks really good. And then there's another talented young thing, Eddie Winkler, who's got Sovereign Wolf, which is another great new book, and he's put a lot of energy and time and resources into his book.
He and I were DMing the other day. I totally back Sovereign Wolf. It looks exciting. I think these really like lycanthrope style stories, with Murphs and with Sovereign Wolf. It's like, these are cool, right? I
straight up cool. Yeah, straight up
so cool.
You're getting hooked in. Yeah, it's the Comicsgate's creating this way, and this is where I'm really enjoying like the 9 o'clock spot. Like every night, 7 days a week, doesn't make a difference. That's it. Because I get to really talk to pretty much everybody, and it's a different type of stream than like being on Ethan's channel or anybody else's channel, because we're really just focused one-on-one, and you kind of like get to know people a little bit better, get the project better, and also learn stuff. I was talking with somebody, Michael Oden, I think. Yeah, and he was, but I can't remember. I'm not super great with names. But anyways, I was talking with him, and he's got this solution potentially for international shipping. And he's already CC'd his vendor, and I'm going to talk to them hopefully this week. They did email me already today. And just group shipping and things like that, which just like little things like that would mean that if it works, we could all charge less for international shipping. You have to assume it's not going to work, and then maybe there's a misunderstanding or something. But if it did work because they bulk them properly or whatever the heck the deal is, what a boon, to all, because it creates less resistance when a customer is buying something and it's a cheaper international rate. Paul is asking what your inspiration is. I think he's looking for a confession.
Yeah. So Paul,
guy, is this hockey mask guy you?
No. I think the wearing that mask, 6x6 did those, and put that thing on. It's a movie quote. It's the same thing I have on set. It's rad, and you feel like you're in the slasher movie, and you could wear that anywhere. Unfortunately, in this time of COVID, you can wear it anywhere. But as far as like what's the inspiration for? I think I've loved horror movies, and I think I've always been pondering, that same feeling that after the movie ends and there's these discarded survivors, what becomes of them? And I think that in my storytelling, I always am trying to come to what is the emotional heart of the story. My last kit was the 8th. It was a boy trying to cope with his brother's suicide, with a piece of ancient Sumerian armor, right? And then in this case, these are trauma survivors that are trying to cope and to resurrect their lives while battling these supernatural revenants, right? So they're trying to heal in the most unlikely arena to the healing, right? And that's what I loved about it. So I think that, and so I think that that's what was really the inspiration, is that feeling that man, I want to pick up discarded characters at the end of these horror movies and rally them together and see what can become of them. They've been galvanized in a way after all the suffering. So that there's the inspiration.
Okay. That's interesting. So you thought their motivations through quite well. Brian Blevins says, without an apology, can you ask the other Adam, with Adam's success in the genre, is there a genre he would like to dabble in that he isn't comfortable with? Any plans to try that shift? So other genres. Why would you do other genres? You're passionate to this, though, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, so the 8th was not. That's right, Paul. Victims fighting back. That's exactly right. I think with Rob. So it's is what it is. I think that like the genres. So the 8th would be a little bit more of a classic anti-superhero tale. In that hero's journey arc, the Kill Journal is a horror story. It's a splatter movie with conscience. And I think my next thing that I'll attempt is something that is teen adventure. I think that's maybe even dips a little younger in some of the characters. It's a story that deals with two teenage kids, like 16 and 12, that are coping with their parents' divorce. In the middle of their parents are in the middle of a divorce, and they're trying to cope with it. That leads into a supernatural world.
I think the Replicator has a crush on you.
Yeah.
A lot of people like you. You ought to do a YouTube show, like a regular one or something. So you do a lot of others.
I like all these people.
Yeah,
I like all these other people.
They're nuts about you. Don't steal Shadowhawk from me. Shadowhawk says looks cool, but needs some more affordable introductory tiers. You can't afford this one. All right, well, let's take a look at the tiers. Let's see what Shadowhawk is saying. Listen, man. Yes, I love you, but it's a little pricey for Shadowhawk at this moment. Yeah. All right. Well, monthly digital issues is pretty cheap, but a lot of people aren't comfortable with digital. All right.
That's right.
This is high end, and there's a lot of copies of it. And $500 for that. That's something else. So yeah, all right. This is a little pricey.
It's $40.
Let's see what it's about. $40 for because the
leather bound.
Leather bound is the entry point. Leather bound.
That's right. That's right.
You're getting a leather-bound book, whether you like it or not. Well, you can get the digital. Is there another way to get the book other than leather-bound, or they're all leather-bound?
There's not. There's not.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I see what you mean,
So
Shadowhawk.
Shadowhawk, you have a legitimate concern. Now, see, with the 8th, we had like 160 digital backers, and on this one, we've got about 55, 60. A lot of our followers on Instagram and Facebook are digital guys, and so I love that. And we do digital monthlies. So after the campaign ends, you just start getting the issues every month, like you were collecting them at the comic shop. So that's the. But let's start
with the featured tier. Let's just Shadowhawk threw me off with that. Shadowhawk, you always complimentary. Shadow's like, I don't know how we finally get some criticism out of Shadowhawk. I got scared. Usually I would, some people, if I don't know who the hell they are, I'll try to read what they're saying before I put it up there. But Shadowhawk, straight shooter. All right, brother, we got you. I'm with you. I mean, you can get that. And I'm interested in what you're doing digitally with Facebook and Instagram, because that subject comes up very often. But let's talk about your featured tiers first. So you're including a mask and the graphic novel, leather bound, for $150. That includes the Crazy Man mask.
Right.
Wow.
I want to do, with each campaign, I try to do something really special. And this I felt like was a way that could be an Indiegogo, a crowdfunding exclusive item.
That is
at least
really
for me.
I mean, and you've sold 22 of them, which is like you're getting commitments. So people are the graphic novel is $40 by itself. People are paying an extra $110, 22 of them, to get this Crazy Man mask.
That's right.
And it's not even the name of the character. So like, for example, like if it was Jason and it was Jason's mask, like Friday the 13th. So who is which
this
character?
Is Dylan's mask.
That's Dylan.
The guy you're looking at right now. It's his mask. If you scroll down, it's his mask. It's that mask there.
You do not have like a half body or a head or something that you have as an add-on?
No, there's not an add-on head, but okay. But once again, that's an exclusive item for people who are in it for more the experience. For the 8th, I had this custom statue, a one-of-a-kind item that was $2,000, and there was a collector who got it. And once again, that's not an everybody thing. The mask isn't an everybody thing. This is, and here's getting the mask for that price is pretty cheap when you consider that it's a fiberglass resin. It's sculpted. It's a custom thing. It's hand painted.
That's freaking badass. Yeah. I'm really impressed. Guys, you listening to this? This is a freaking great idea. If this was like the character's name, the Murderator or something like that, or something good, not what I just made up, or Mr. Crispy, and it was like Mr. Crispy's mask, and that was the high end thing and whatever. You're going to have fans for life with something like that. That's fantastic. Rob the Replicator, here's your idea, and you are going to pay for this one way or another. A vial with some strange liquid in it, and that can be your virus for your Replicator virus. People would pay for a virus, and with the Replicator printed on the vial, or probably Adam Lawson can come up with something better than that. I'm going to ask.
You're going with Adam Post, though, because imagine, Rob, that you had the Replicator vials, and it was like a 5-hour energy, but the color of your Replicator setup, and you could get these vials with it, and it was something people could really use.
Yeah, you could have a set of colors or something. I mean, obviously, it would just be water.
Or you could make it 5-hour energy, or you could make it something people want to take.
Is Replicator loaded? Everything he's saying is hysterical. He must be really practicing. How's it going, Zaid? Adam Lawson is cool. Yeah, he is cool.
Thank you, Zaid.
I'm just flattered that you guys joined us tonight. If you haven't already subscribed, please do click the bell for notifications. Now, I was first looking at it. I didn't realize you sold 22 of these. I mean, you sold 22 of these at $110 each. No one knows who this character is who bought these, right? I mean, this is the introduction of this character. Is this book?
Correct.
Is this him? Is this Dylan?
That's him. Yep.
This is impressive, guys. So to definitely take note. And you have a hookup to get these things made, I guess. Obviously, you're not just going to.
There are, in fact, we gave away a couple of them in pre-campaign, and I've already mailed out one. We had one completed, and I already mailed that one out. There was another winner who I have yet to mail out, waiting the big batch order to come in. But yeah.
What do you think of the idea of the College of the Dead girls getting her arms bitten off? Maybe I could have like one of her hands or an arm, like a prosthetic or something.
I think it's cool.
Trying to think how to rip up your idea as quickly as possible.
I'm wearing the Red Valkyries, Jay's hoodie, and I was just wearing today Zayd's t-shirt for Lost Pages, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like you can see it's the Red Valkyrie.
Yeah, there it is.
And I'm wearing Zayd's t-shirt today. Like for me, what's cool is to get the thing that is the indie item, right? It's like there's one thing you show up with a Batman t-shirt, that's fine. But if you show up with the Red Valkyrie t-shirt, or if you show up with the Page t-shirt, you've got something special, right? And you've got something to talk about. And it's a cool way to just rep what you're a part of. Anyways, that's there.
No, I like it. So guys, take note. That is really cool. So if someone has the dough to throw down on it, hit the featured tier, get the mask and the graphic novel. But that's very cool. Very cool. Now, monthly digital issues. Now, you already do digital through Instagram and through Facebook, and you do it successfully. What are these guys? This is the other zombie guys. I know Jim, who's the Love Pigeon guy. Doomsday. What is it? Kingdom? I forget what it is. I can't remember. But anyway, Doomsday Kingdom, I think it is. And they're doing their sequel. I got to have Jim on and Ronnie. But they do digital comics as well, out to their own YouTube audience outside of Indiegogo, and that works for them. So now you're doing 4 monthly digital issues?
That's right. So issue 1 and a 6-page mini story, origin story, already went out here at the beginning of January. The next one goes out beginning of February, March, and April. So I figure if you're going to get digital comics, you want them quick, right? If you have to wait 6 months to get your digital comic, that's not appealing. Now, once again, digital comics are not for everyone. I just think that I know there's a crowd they are for. And so I try to accommodate them in the best way I can, because I feel like what's exciting is that people read them. For example, I put the first issue of the 8th and put a 10-page preview issue of the Kill Journal on this thing called Global Comics. It's like a place to read digital comics. Okay. The 8 read by 1,500 people, and the Kill Journal got read by about 600, right? So it's like when you think about that, even though those people didn't necessarily purchase it, they touched your work, right? And they got a chance to read it. That would be very cool for Masquerade, Zayd. But I don't feel like that's one thing that's kind of a special thing is it's not just making just a transaction. It's also getting it into people's hands so they can read it and love it. The way they like
the more readers, the better. And I'm sure you'll find there are some people that get the digital that are then just like, hey, I freaking love this thing, and then want the physical after that.
Right.
Sort of through an upsell. So what's the name of the website? Global Comics, you said?
Global Comics. And I've been trying to pump it out to other people too. I know my buddy Justin Dutton, who did Unstitched, and then also Cody Fernandez, who did Jack Irons, has put their stuff on there. And once again, and you can also charge people to read, and you can make a little bit of money out of it. I haven't crossed just yet. I've just started with them, and I'm once again not trying to sell it. It's a nice way to reach more people.
Yeah,
if that's I don't know.
Is there a way they can sign up, or do they give you an opportunity to provide a link?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're a publisher, I can just send this to you right here. Mm-hmm.
I was on with Mark Polton, and he was showing me there are like 4 issues that Rob Liefeld published as webcomics on Keen Spot for Evangeline.
Yeah,
I think was his character, and Mark wrote them, and a lot of people viewed them. So and they did have links that didn't work because it was back from 2011 or whatever. They did have links to be able to buy the product, but it's something for us to think about, because we're finding people primarily on YouTube and through other people's social media. But wherever we find them, we can find them. If it's something we can do in spare time, like a little bit of extra promotion that's new, not just another tweet, then it's interesting, especially if you had a positive experience. So you are actually selling your digital as well through Facebook and Indiegogo?
I know.
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, no, sorry. So I'm just using those as promotional tools, but those are generally speaking, our followers on Instagram are people who are the digital only guys they're people who are like reading webtoons and tapas more regularly, and so they're in a habit of digital comics. Which webtoons, 6 million people reading their stuff. It's like that's a fan base that's real. And Michael Bancroft is totally right. That those people, because Global Comics is a tiny upstart one, webtoons and tapas are huge, and I think it's meaningful, especially if there's an opportunity to get in front of people who you can't get to with your tweets and your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah,
your matrix.
New people, just new people.
Yeah, and they're a South Korean company that have no agenda. That just are posting. You know what I mean? They don't have an agenda. They're not trying to promote DC or Marvel or like they're just not even involved at all in the complexities sometimes that can occur between the big two and indies. It just is totally. It's just a separate arena.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to look into. I'll talk to more people about it, and we'll try to crack the code a little bit and see if there's anything else we can learn about it. Okay, this is that. We'll just jump onto this website really quick where you sent the link. This is Global Comics with an X.com. There's the 8th on there, and there's people who read it and comment about it. So they're commenting, so they obviously read it, and links to the Indiegogo campaign. So worth some consideration. I mean, guys, you can try it. You can always take it. I'm sure they allow you to remove your content if you choose to remove your content as well.
Exactly. It's that's what I mean. It's a nothing thing. You can delete it at any time.
No risk, and just their eyes. Just their eyes. Their platform, that you can exploit their platform a little bit, see if it works for you. All right. So other than the digital issues, you can get the leather-bound edition. It is $40, but it's leather-bound, or it's faux leather, but still pretty damn cool looking. And 274 is another good number. But I will say, and guys, this is really of note, for people to not know this character, even though it does look cool, but for people to not know the character and to sell 22 of them is great. It's really, really great. So very happy for you with that. And definitely looking at it and saying, hey, that's cool. That's one of the great things by doing these shows. Like, we all get to kind of share with whatever it is that's kind of working for us. We get to mock Rob the Replicator. You can't really go wrong with that. Every now and then you get a shock, like a criticism from Shadowhawk, nothing you'd ever expect. Bill Blevins is attacking me. Who ever thought that was going to happen? I
think Shadowhawk does bring up a good point. It is the weakness in my campaign, Shadowhawk, and you're right.
Now he will kill you.
It is something. I don't have a $25 entry point. And the reason I did that is because I needed to reduce the printing price of the leather bound so that it be affordable for people.
Yeah. So
and if I split my audience across two book options, now all of a sudden printing costs just go up so much.
Well, I respect you watching your numbers, my man. I respect you watching your numbers. Of course, some people are going to say no. Some people are going to say yes. But there are other books that are a higher starting point tier. So it's also for some, it makes people really think about, like with the Mermaids is a good example, is if you love me, you're going to buy what I'm doing no matter what. But that's going to be your top 20% maybe of your customer base is going to be like, I'll buy whatever this person's doing. We don't care what the price is, and I just want to see it because they're doing it. But then, mostly people have to be interested in the subject matter too. And a lot of people are turned off by zombies. And this is going to freak a hell of a lot of people out. Be running the other way, but other people are going to be really into this. And,
right.
You got to soak them in. But
I think that's what I found with the Kill Journal. I think that with the 8th, I think it had a broader audience in its approach. We did a little better than we did with the Kill Journal, even though it was our first book out. And I think it's because horror is a slower audience, particularly in the comic book space. But
and you know what, though, with horror too, like there are a lot of niche horror outlets where if you can get on their YouTube channels, be on their websites. A couple of zombie websites picked us up. I did very little promotion, just kind of contact them. Yeah, they were retweeted and did some promo for us and wrote up a little bit of Graduation Day, which was nice. But this is. I think you're done well with this. You'll see a lot of people are going to be interested in a sequel to this. So you also made a T-shirt and the leather-bound book. And that's cool. So
I made a T-shirt. See, it's interesting because last time, I also made a T-shirt for and we sold almost 100 of them, especially in some pre-orders after.
Wow.
We hit almost 100 T-shirts sold out of 650 backers. This time, the T-shirts didn't make, and I think two reasons. One, it might not have been as cool a design, but really because we had the mask and we could, and what people did, about 1 in 4 backers bought the 8th as an add-on to this.
Okay.
And so as a result, I think it's like, if you're going to pick with your money, you're going to get a second book, or a shirt, you're going to get the book.
Yeah.
So, so that was a lesson learned on my behalf. Offering too many options is not a win. What's more meaningful is to maybe do one special thing unique to the campaign and leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. You learn as you go and you see what works for the subject matter. And you can definitely see the draw of doing sequels because people are so damned interested. If they're interested once, they're usually interested again. And the Revenant's original art. All right. So what original art is this? Is this the cover or one of the covers?
Sorry, say again there.
This original art?
So this is a print that went out let me just show you. I can show you the colored print. This is the print that went out for everybody who backed in the first 30 days. Okay. And it's just a rad part. Preston Acevedo did the art, and Mike Spicer did the colors, who I love. Let me see if I can bring that up here.
You have to make Shadowhawk an offer he can't refuse.
I know. I think I'm going to say Shadowhawk.
He made a really good point. So maybe we can give him a sort of an industry discount of some sort. Work it out. Hey, Jose Garcia.
Yeah, Jose Garcia is the man. It does.
It pays well.
But you have to make it mobile friendly. You can't do a Western style comic book. It has to be built.
What about my individual panels for like College of the Dead? My 2 panels per page or 6 panels per page?
You just have to be built so that it's really effective in mobile scrolling versus a Western comic. You drop the whole thing here and it's not, they just don't gain any traction. It needs to be built for that format, which is unfortunate because that makes it really tough to make it for print. You kind of have to commit to one or the other.
Let's make it about me. All right, let me just show you what I'm talking about. This is for the Mermaids. The Mermaids. Bing, bang, boom. This was a 6-panel grid that we did so that I could actually do this as a web comic.
I see.
This work for stupid webtoons? Maybe 2 panels per page for webtoons?
No, you would probably be best to do them as one.
Because that was my brilliant idea in the first place with this. It was going to be like, all right, I'll do the web comic. I'll do it as individual equal-sized panels. Very straightforward storytelling. And then it'll work as social media sharing as well. So I could publish it as social media panels. So that basically, whether you like it or not, if you scroll past it, there's like a word balloon with like 3 or 4 words in it. You're in the story, whether you like it or not. You saw it. It's too damn late. So it's something that could also go viral. And we built up 3,000 followers on the College of the Dead Facebook page doing that as a web comic in that format, 1 panel per page. And then they changed their rules. What are you looking at? What am I missing?
No, that's cool. That's a meaningful thing. So so this is the print that goes to everyone who backs in the first 30 days. So the original of that is what's on there for Preston, and that's to pay him, for his.
Preston's great. I like Preston. I like his art. He's the good Preston, as we say. Although the other Preston, I think, is making a comeback too. I don't know what's going on with him exactly. Jose Garcia. Now I'm really curious. Tell us what Webtoons pays. You can message me. We're talking anyway. Message me direct or say it publicly if you want to. But I'm very curious now. You've got me curious. All right. Oh, what did Bancroft say? He probably said something good. Bancroft says. Bancroft contributes. On Webtoons, you got to have a mobile format comic or you'll get very little traction. Well, I happen to have that. Evil Adam Post comes back with the mobile-friendly format. Aha. And everyone says, oh, my God, he was right all along. Justin says, looking great, guys. He's obviously talking about us. Lord Crackhead 33 says, hail, peeps. Great to see you. Failed Superhero Club is you. You know what you're saying. You're agreeing with Michael Bancroft.
Yep. Bancroft is a good one. He is smart and does good stuff.
He works his ass off. I love that he works.
He does.
Yeah, he works so hard, and he built a platform by just saying, you know what, I'm just going to do the work. I'll build a platform. So he just does the work, and the platform's there. And then other people are kind of like, why don't I have a platform? It's like, well, because you don't do the work. And I'm guilty of the same. Like, we either do the work or we don't. Blevins, oh my God, here's my big apology. Adam Post, I was joking. Oh, I knew it. No. He loves me. All right. I need a few minutes alone with Brian Blevins. No, I'm kidding. I don't. We like each other a lot.
He's one of the most legit.
He's good people. I appreciate you. Of course, Brian, I appreciate you joking around. Yeah, of course. Yeah, stack them vertically for mobile format. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a billionaire by the end of the week. We got to get this going. Let's make this happen. I'm back. Everything is 6 panels per page now. From now on, it's all going to be mobile friendly. We love lesbian mermaids. Who doesn't? Obviously, we all do. Bancroft says you need to get a featured to get paid by Webtoons. They select you. It used to be $2,000 a month. I'm not sure if it's still that. $2,000 a month. I'll take that. I mean, it's ancillary revenue. If they give you a link, that's the thing. We do want to think about multiple opportunities. Not that everyone should design. I would not do a new series unless I struck it big on mobile or something like that. I would not target a new series to do 6-panel pages. For College of the Dead, I'm going to return to black and white and 6-panel pages because that's what the core of the project was. I was going to do color. I had some pages done. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like College of the Dead. So now I will have, for other markets like yourself, fancy Adam Lawson, a 2-panel per page book for College of the Dead book 1. We'll do a black and white version of College of the Dead book 2. And then we'll have our new black and white College of the Dead spring break. So we can do our ongoing zombie, book trade graphic novels, and then also have them exploitable for mobile or other formats and stuff. And we'll see how it goes. That's what that project is.
Yeah.
When I do a new series though, would I do it in that format? No, not unless I had, some deal cooking. If you have a deal and they're like, look, we want to give you, money for this, then you do it.
Right. Well, I think that the thing I liked about Global Comics, or was attractive to me, is what they do is they guided like Comixology. It's a guided piece. So their phone, it's a web comic that blows up each panel, and you build in the frames yourself.
Yeah.
So you can guide people. So it's still, which I think Comixology is very mobile friendly as well as iPad or computer screen friendly. But anyways, so I think that's one thing I liked about that format is because you could take a Western comic and put it in a really effective mobile fashion. But I still think
it's fascinating because there are people there are people we know there are barely comic stores anymore. They're sort of hanging on. It's funny, they brag about how well comic stores are doing, but it's because of the success of manga, or they're talking about success of comics because of manga. Because of Dogman. Literally, Dogman's like 30% of all graphic novels sold. One title, Dogman, not Batman, Dogman. And for comic stores, they're still doing them returnable. It's still returnable. So it's still like, that's not the business anymore. It's not non-returnable sales to comic stores. All the major companies, even the major independents, they're still doing returnable comics. So that they broke the entire business. And we kind of talk about why, but also Yes, people are spending a tremendous amount of their time. How much time do we spend on our phones? You have an iPhone like I do, and it tells you, hey man, you've been on your phone for 7 hours a day. It's like, well, I'm not texting. I use it for a lot of different things, but that's captured our attention now. It's an extension of us. So if you're delivering content to a device, like there's going to be a lot of people that can receive content that way. So yeah, you can, there's a lot you can do. So we'll all just, especially if all of us are like, you have some experience with it, someone else has other experience, we're kind of collaborating. Bancroft knows a thing or two. Don't listen to the replicator about this. He doesn't seem to know about digital stuff. He knows about everything else, not about that. Maybe he does, but yeah, we kind of like share the information. We collaborate. We see what works. Levin says they have to make boobs returnable. No, they have to make books returnable. I did that on purpose because the comic industry doesn't want to admit that they need. But yeah,
I think I feel like it's Adam. Is it from the comics industry is such a broad thing, right? And there, when you look at the Disney's and AT&T owned parts of it, right? Those companies are less concerned because their monetizing platform isn't based on print. It's based on movies, video games, products, rides.
Yeah, print is a side effect.
It's print as a side effect of what is really happening for them. And so it's just like Amazon. They make television. They're going to make a Lord of the Rings series at $35 million an episode that no one else can beat, and they'll never make their money back on it. But they didn't make it to make money. They meant it to enrich their platform, right? Mm-hmm. So those two people, those two companies can make choices that no one else can make. And so I think you're making a good point. And unfortunately, it's like people are spending a lot of time here, or they want something cool to hold in their hand. At least I think. Though I could be wrong, and people
there's different things. Like people go on an airplane, or they go on a trip and they're like screwing around, or somebody likes zombies and they do a Google search, or they're in Webtoons and they search zombies. Like, how else would I ever meet that person? Like at a restaurant somewhere. Like you can't even go to restaurants. Definitely not.
I know, right?
So, but the thing is when you own the content, you can kind of expand your horizons here and there. It's just This is the one thing about being self-employed. My brother's a doctor, and he's got a great career. But the main thing about it is, even though there's late nights and they're covering shifts and stuff like that, it's finite. When you're self-employed, nothing is finite. It's never finite. The problems are not finite. The end of the world could always come tomorrow, but there's never enough work you could do to do your stuff. You're not done at the end of the day, because you could be exploiting and promoting and expanding and finding out about solving a problem or a new vendor or new customers. So it's just good for us to be like looking into stuff. And then, let some, if there's a group of us, if there's like 50 of us publishing and a couple of us have some expertise or some experience, and then it could be shared across basically the whole Comicsgate platform. Like Brian's idea of, Brian, sorry. Why do I think about Brian? Because I got into a fight with him. All right, we'll make up later. Adam's idea of making that mask, that's shocking that it had that level of success. That's shocking. Why are 22 people paying $110 for a mask? Because it's interesting. It's a cool piece. And if you're into horror, it's like, wow, the horror mask of this character, and it's a custom made piece. And those are the kind of items too. Like there was this project, Ava's Demon, that was a web comic that was a very big success, which is what made me start in with the Mermaids, I think, back in the day. But in any event, one of the things she had was this tier that nobody's going to buy. I think maybe one person did, or maybe they didn't. She had like this gold statuette of her character, and it was $5,000. And like, who the hell needs that? That's nonsensical. But it added value to and kind of made the campaign more interesting than if it was just like, all right, we got a couple trading cards. Here's the book. And, leather bound is also a cool aspect of it. It does add a dimension to it. Very interesting.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. I feel like their experience is really special because, as you're trying to factor out how to connect with people, And I think that on the 8th, they had 658 backers, right, across the between what happened in demand and then now in pre-orders. And here's what's interesting about it, Adam. 4 of those backers had never backed anything on Indiegogo. And of them, I emailed with many of them who'd never bought a comic book before.
Yeah.
And they were buying it because there was a cool presentation. It was this hardcover slipcase. It felt like this fun experience.
Special. Yeah.
It's right. So I was tapping into people who aren't comic book fans, but who know how to read books and are interested in, stories that involve science fiction and adventure. And so I think that was partly, I think what I've been trying to do going forward is like, how do I hit the people who are that?
Well, you identify an addressable market with that, where you look at it and be like, all right, well, I have a profit margin for a marginal sale, and it is what it is, so you have to know your numbers. And then you look at like, well, how big of a market is out there for people that are horror fans that really like specialty items, or, that would just buy this, that are like, so you're not looking for the random 13-year-old girl necessarily. There's a certain age group who'd be interested in this, who, certain money, a certain ability to pay for these things. And then how many are there? And then you start looking at it. Like, there's a friend of mine who's a comics person who's really kind of been giving me a little bit of a hard time. Like, why aren't you marketing to new markets, the mermaids? Because there's a lot of people that are interested in mermaids, and it's like a dream come true for people that are very into mermaids. And there's a lot of people that are very into mermaids. It's an official gender now. It's a gender, believe it or not.
I didn't even realize.
It's a cross. Like, you could be a male mermaid or a female mermaid, and people wear them and dress up in their house with that. And I'm like, luckily I didn't start this. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But the whole thing is like, there's an extent of like, well, how much do you want to create this whole marketing system to try to reach people, that might be interested in your book? And then are you going to have sequels? Like, what type of platform are you building? A marketing system are you building for addressable market? So I'm doing my mermaids book. I'm very happy to be doing it. All of our costs are paid and we're making money on the thing. And, we'll take it from there, but I'm not going to be able to spend, 20 hours a week, finding new people that might be interested in mermaids. Anybody who wants Rod the Replicator, he is offering himself up to you. So contact him directly for that. I'll do it in the chat. Jose Garcia, very generously. I like that me and Jose are talking. He's good people. Webtoons entry level pays $1,000 to $3,000 US per week plus ad revenue. You have to be featured, and you get printing rights. They get digital rights, minimum of 60 panels per weekly update. 60 panels. So for me, that would be 10 pages.
60 panels a week. That's
60 panels.
That's serious work. And Jose is amazing. He and I have talked a bunch. He's a super legit artist. He did a commission for me for the Kill Journal. And I know what he does.
I know that cover. Really, I was looking at Jose's work earlier. I know that cover. It's very nice.
Yeah, he's totally legit. But I think what he's bringing up there is, if you're an artist who can kick out 60 panels a week, so that you're doing 10 pages of content a week, that's the lines, colors, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're doing a colored book, if you could do that, and unfortunately Webtoons expectation on backgrounds is pretty small. So that was really helpful. Their expectation is not a light filled book, like is not an EBS quality. Quality, but
they accept cartoony. They still accept manga. It sounds like so. Yeah.
In fact, it's their big push. Manga is the big.
Oh, it's very interesting. So. Well, when we had a studio at Personality Comics, like back in the day, '92, we had like 25 tables of studio artists plus freelancers, and we had multiple rates that people worked at on a per page basis in the studio, and it was based on our budgets and what was affordable for us for what we were selling. So that is the kind of thing we could have satisfied if they liked the content we were doing. That's interesting because look, if they were getting the digital and they allow you to have a link to the print edition, and that covers your costs of production, this is the kind of thing that you think about when we're doing these kinds of, we're putting productions together. Because if it meant, like, Jose is a great artist, if it meant that you had steady work for your creative team. And as a publisher, look, a lot of people are self-publishing their own work, but like me, I'm kind of a producer where I'm taking my ideas and then I'm putting teams together to do my ideas. I think about like one of the ways you keep people is you're able to give them steady paid work. And you think about like, you want to keep people working. You want to be able to retain good people. You have to give them work. It's got to be paying work and it's got to be enough. So, you take responsibility for these freelancers. So you can think about reverse engineering a publishing plan based on if there's another market that's going to consistently provide this money, potentially. It's interesting. It's just at least interesting to look at, to know that it's out there. But God forbid, it might provide a whole stream of potential people for future Indiegogo campaigns. I know that what's his name, Brian Polito, is publishing his crowdfunded comics, because we never say the word Kickstarter. No, he's publishing his crowdfunded comics directly to stores as well. He's focused on crowdfunding, but he also will then collect them for sale in comic stores, and he makes some money doing that. But I know his priority has to be that people are like, oh, you're doing New Lady Death? Oh, well, here's your website. Oh, you're doing this crowdfunding? He's trying to draw people from comic stores that are not normally going to crowdfunding sites or on YouTube. So that's great. Not that there's millions of people buying comics, but there's a couple of 100,000 people floating around out there going in and out of comic stores. The size, like any given comic store probably they either should or do have an email list of customers that have signed up of 1,000 to 3,000 people. Not that they buy regularly, but there's a lot of names of people that will sign up for things, that just have access to. So it's something to think about for the future.
And when you say that, once again, it's about tagging these people. I'm trying to get these people who are going to be in comic book shops, who are going to be on webtoons, who are going to be on the crowdfundings. You're trying to hit all of these avenues.
Jose, can we do this? A lot of creators duplicate panels with small changes and zoom-ins. Ava's Demon was doing that like mad, that Kickstarter campaign. The modifications to the panels, I was looking at it as someone I'm not an artist, but I've produced a lot of work with my guys and gals, mostly guys. But yeah, you could just see like, oh my God, especially with the ability to do it with digital. We could have done it with, photocopies, but what they do with digital to just make small modifications, characters blinking at each other. Pretty crazy. Replicator says, I haven't read this first. I have to warn you guys. That's what happened to Chris. He really wanted steady work. Poor Chris. Everybody needs steady work to some degree.
Yeah, that is totally right. I've watched many creators. Interesting webtoons it's a different demo. It's 65% female in the fans and also the creators. A lot of romance. God, they love mermaids. Yeah, absolutely, and Bancroft is right. The top girls out there who are having 800,000 people reading their book are millions lots of times. They're doing well. Make your income for sure.
Do I have to have a female author? Do I have to be like April Post instead of Adam Post?
I know you don't necessarily. It's funny that oftentimes Western comics talk about how girls
you have a good relationship. You have a good relationship with your parents. Do you trust your parents? Are they still around?
Yeah.
My parents told me that my name would have been April if I was a girl. They never said they were disappointed that I was a boy.
They thought you name if you would have been a girl, yeah.
Yeah, but kind of thinking about it like now, like maybe I should just like directly straight ask my dad. He's still alive. I know they've told me a couple times, not like today, just every 5 or 10 years or so, it'll come up. So I'm 50. And now I have to wonder, did they want me to be a girl? Because why are they telling me this? If I was a girl, I would have been April.
Right. Why?
I'm not. I don't know. It's kind of suspicious. Maybe Michael Bancroft has thoughts on that because he's right about everything else. He knows a lot of stuff. Right. We're going to look into this. Not the thing. Well, I will. I'll ask my dad. I'll call him tomorrow. But very interesting about this webtoon stuff. Because I don't know. I mean, these other markets would now. So if there were a bunch of girls reading the Mermaids and they liked the Mermaids, would they want to buy a print edition at some point? You know, they might. They damn well might.
They might. Certainly if you're fans who loved and have something for it, can. So anyways,
tough to get featured on Webtoons. You know what's funny? As a friend of mine, a comics editor, actually, I think told me about Webtoons. If they're the South Korea guys, he's like, your College of the Dead is because he's like kind of up on that stuff. College of the Dead is really good for mobile. You really ought to look into it. He gave me their name, and I didn't follow up because every damn new thing, it's just so much time. But that's the great thing. Like you guys have provided some great information tonight to me and to anyone else who listens to the stream. Not just that there's other things out there. Maybe Webtoons is right for somebody, maybe not. But just to be open-minded and look for different things and to value the hell out of the Comicsgate network because, again, for everybody, it's great for content. You get to talk to the creators. You can become a creator. You can publish your books. And you can learn how we're all doing this stuff. Who else would have known about those masks? I wouldn't have known.
I know. This is an amazing way. This is an amazing way, and I think what I'm hoping to try and build over time is to build an experience that is inside the group, outside the group, and I think Rob might be right, Adam.
They still call you April when you are not there. Thank you, Rob. Don't tell Clayton. I want Clayton to respect me. How to draw comics.net channel.
But I think if the hope and purpose what you're trying to do is to build something that can be a sustainable business on its own, so that it can continue for years to come, if that's where your passion is leading you, I think it's good to explore these options. But I agree with you too, Adam. The hard part is you just don't have the time. Like, don't have the time to then build everything for Webtoons, build everything for this digital output. There's so many, you kind of have to pick which ones you're going to hit.
Yeah, there's just so many things you can do. But I like the idea of, and I saw Michael did a show last night. You guys should really check out with, I think it was last night, with Mark Polton talking about creating independent franchises of your own. And that's addressing sequels, that's addressing, being able to do an ongoing series and then really profit by that. This is not a question of either print or digital. It's a question of Mark Polton's success with Graveyard Shift, which we always think John Malin when we see Graveyard Shift, but that's Mark Polton's project too. So he's got Graveyard Shift, he's got Sea Dog, he's got U.S. Assassin. I think he's producing something else too. He's hustling. And I didn't realize he wrote for Image all the way back in the day. He worked with Rob Liefeld. So he was the VP of operations for this independent company called Arcana that then went into animation. That was based out of Canada, which is interesting as hell too. Each one of these things you can almost kind of go on forever about. Yes, it's allowed. Jose says it's allowed. I don't know exactly what he means, but
I was looking back to that.
Something about panels. It's interesting stuff. But subscribe to Michael Bancroft's channel too. I like the idea of having like a subject that's also tied into that creator and the project that you're promoting, which is what Michael's doing mostly now. What? Oh yeah, okay. Off the series into spin-off books, merchandise, toys, and games. That's the way to build an audience in this space. Yeah, it's true. And we could team up with other people that produce. There's a lot of board games people out there. They're looking for ideas. Yeah,
I've done 2 board games.
Oh yeah.
And my first one is called Escape Tonight. We had about 6,800 backers.
Wow.
And we did really well with it. It was based on a TV show that I created, or co-created with Joey Graceffa. And I was the showrunner for it. It was really fun. He's the star of my show, and he and I loved to board game together. And so we did a board game based on the TV show. Did really well. And then I did another one later this year. Did about 1,100 backers called Asunder.
Let's look at Asunder real quick, because I was on your website and I came across this. I was like, role-playing games. Like every now and then we talk about role-playing games. You actually made a role-playing game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the story on Asunder?
So Asunder is a dark fantasy RPG. It's set in a dying world where there's no metal. And when the creator the humans, given this divine essence, and we stepped on the earth. It spilled out of them, and
plants and insects into living weapons.
Bingo.
So they hit each other with plants?
No, so instead of a crossbow, you might have a organism that lives in your arm that shoots thorns, or you may have a shield made out of a giant beetle's back. And some of the people are from each island that people are from in this world. The essence inside them bonded with a unique part of that the world, and gives them the capacity to control it. For some, it's animals. For some, it's insects. For some, it's plants. For some, it's gravity. And so, but this world is consuming itself, and in it, you play seekers. These are people who have seen the signs that the end of the world is coming, and you're looking answers.
All right, so this had almost 1,100 backers on it. 118,000. So,
do you want to bring it up on screen?
I thought I did, so I screwed up. Hold on. Thank you for mentioning that.
No problem, April.
It's not there. Yeah, April it is. Yeah, this is it. Okay. I thought I was sharing it. I wasn't. All right, so this is your role-playing game. I want to make a role-playing game. How the hell do you do it? So your concept is interesting. No metal, and they use plants and insects as weapons, and obviously they have weapons. They got to be fighting with each other. Yeah.
Well, it's in the same way that it's a role-playing game where you're collaboratively telling stories. Where you're collaboratively telling stories between a player and a storyteller, right? In this place, our dungeon master, we call them a keeper, and players are playing seekers, and so as far as the experience with it, it uses a different mechanic also too, the way, unlike Dungeons and Dragons, where you're like a fighter or a warrior or a wizard, and then you level up as time goes on. This, you select different paths which are affected by the story. So let's say maybe you become addicted to demon blood, so you might take on the Ravager path, or let's say you get recruited by the Bone Army in your story, then you might become a Bone Recruit. So there's a myriad of different paths, about 65 of them in the book and more to come, that you can sort of shape your story into. And so your character is more reactive abilities to the story that's happening versus just, I'm a wizard and I get more powerful.
Now, did Asunder exist before this game, or this is a new concept? It did not.
Totally.
Did you write the game book that was like, all right, here's the text?
There was 3 people involved. So I built about a 45-page document that was the details of the world. And then I hired a writer named Brian Engard, who created an RPG game called Fate Core. And he and I worked together to write all of the copy. And then we also brought another guy named Rob Schwab, who was the lead design on Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Oh. And he had a game system that we ported over and modified to become the one in this.
And now, so that we understand, the game system is like the same kind of thing as a game engine, essentially, right?
That's right. It's the mechanics. Like, how do you do something? If you say, hey, I want to kick down that door and steal the sapphire, you then roll certain dice based on certain abilities to do that thing.
Interesting.
And so this was a massive undertaking. It took me about 6 years to get a thing built over time.
Oh my God.
It's about, as far as pages, it's about 400 pages of, big 8.5 by 11 page book. It's 200 it's about 170, these images that you're scrolling down, about 170 images of this scope that are directed. Really? Yep. Plus 9 of these miniature figurines, plus custom dice and all kinds of stuff we had built for it.
Custom dice.
Yeah, so it was quite an undertaking for sure. We had a novel.
A lot of work.
You can't imagine.
Just as you're describing it, it's just starting to sound like too much work.
I think that lots of days. I'm glad it was a success.
Yeah. Oh, please. I mean, I know, because I did the same thing with the Mermaids. I didn't have a deadline. I was looking at this game. Is this Zombicide? Okay.
Yeah.
So Zombicide, they throw $1 million around like it's nothing. This is a $4 million now. What the hell?
Yeah. So this is a board game. It's based on a super popular game series. Their first Zombicide game did about 750,000. They're like the poster child of the Kickstarter board game success story. And they've even raised like 20 million on Wall Street to continue their efforts because they're so successful with
they're
it.
doing something. I don't know what he's doing with that. What they're doing with that company. But yeah, they're a public company, and
they're
they're
really
small
doing
company, but off of this. But I'm looking at this. Like, this doesn't look like they have the effort in that you put in. Do you think? I mean, there's a bunch of different little figures they have, but
yeah. Well, as far as the complexity of the writing and the story world, not a chance. And this is a continuation in his game series. So a lot of the mechanics and et cetera, this is like adding some nuanced detail and making new miniature figures, which is their forte, is making mini figures.
They have mini figures, and they have, I'm sure, a map like with those hexagons on it.
Yep.
Yeah, this doesn't. I mean, not to take anything away from it, it looks cool. It looks interesting, but how cool would that be for College of the Dead, right? I mean, that's what I should be doing.
Well, I think that there's just
how do I do it? How do I do it in a way that it's trivial for me, but I make millions of dollars?
I don't know. I don't know if such a thing exists.
That's the task. I hope everybody's listening, because we got to write this down and figure this out.
I don't know if such a thing exists.
How do we make Adam Post or April? You want to call me April Post? It's fine, as long as I make millions of dollars. Public company's endless funds doesn't count. Adam's campaign is more impressive accomplishment. Adam Lawson's campaign is a very impressive. Well, it's impressive. You worked on it for like a million years, and it's over $100,000. It's going to be shipping. It looks like in March. I always look at ship dates.
So the digital's going out in March. We're going to probably beat that and get there early.
Lawson, we want you to get back.
I mean, my internet, I don't know what's happened with it. It was working just fine a minute ago.
Yeah, I blame Rob for that. Him and his snot.
Yeah, it's probably Rob's fault. I mean, he always did it.
I was trying to do something fancier than I'm able to do.
Yep.
Where is that crazy campaign? Oh, there's
boomer moment.
Every other day I do it. So if I'm going to do this at 9:00 every night, then it's going to happen 3 or 4 times a week. It's pretty much guaranteed. Hey, Joe King, good to see you, man. Why do I feel like they're not talking about me?
Thank you, Bancroft. Thank you for that.
I mean,
I think Bancroft and I will probably do it together.
Adam Lawson. Everybody is great. You are the best, Adam. Yes. Okay. We love Adam Lawson. No, but what we're saying is like, guys, when Adam doesn't feel badly that he didn't do $1 million, he's chill with it. He's got this whole other writing gig. He writes for Netflix. He doesn't even need to be doing this stuff. He just loves it. He's happy. We're very proud of him. We're not trying to show him up. We're just like, why is this easier? Well, you know why? Because it's popular and it's a franchise now. So it's just interesting that, you know what? You don't have to. This is also just kind of part of planning the product. You always wanted the game. You're working on the game, I'm sure, before you knew how you were going to sell it, right? And you just wanted to make it.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. Before I had, I mean, I knew it would end up on Kickstarter. And Kickstarter, though it has its problems, for board games, it's really the only. It's suicide.
Look at these guys, Simon. They're such they'll make any kind of game. They did $400,000 on the Living Dead. Look at this cheapy, junky thing.
Interesting enough, though, they only did $400,000 on the Living Dead.
Yeah, because it's not even a license. It's public domain, and it's like, to look at it like, what are they adding? They made the figures, but what are they adding to the franchise? Not anything.
Sure.
I'm not saying that. Again, it's not minimizing, like, oh, this is crap. It's not that. It's just sort of like, all right, well, using Romero's name, they shouldn't be doing that.
Maybe they got the franchise rights. Maybe they got the franchise rights. They got the game rights.
This is
board game rights. Board game rights are pretty easy to secure because most companies in media don't exploit them at all.
How do you know how to make board games?
Well, because just like Warner Brothers doesn't have a board games, they're not pursuing it. Now, Hasbro obviously is a major player in it, but lots of them don't exploit those rights. So if you're a successful company that says, hey, can I get these rights? And here's a royalty. They're going to say yes. You know what I mean? You could get amazing rights in board games if you have a good track record.
Have you made one board game so far, or this is the first one?
Two.
Two? Oh, you made the other one. You did just say it like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's a long time ago for me. Yeah, it's like a paying attention thing. I'm thinking while I'm listening. But anyway, yeah, this is Zombicide mode. Oh, they're trying to bring in Zombicide.
Yeah, that's been a flagship game for them. Respect trying to do.
Will you negotiate with Simon for me and say, listen, I'm tight with the College of the Dead guy. We want a producer deal here. We want a good offer. We're going to fund it. You guys will distribute it.
It would be worth you approaching them about it. Why not? Maybe there is a spinoff because they do all kinds of like expansions to the Zombicide franchise. Maybe one.
Yeah, College of the Dead expansion, some sort of a. I mean, they can sell. It looks like a good $400,000-$500,000 worth of any game. But you know what's neat is to be able to have the graphic novel kind of married. And this is like I think what Bancroft was talking about, guys. To be able to have a graphic novel that's kind of married to also making toys, is interesting.
I think Bancroft is right. Yeah.
Is that correct? Is Adam times Adam squared? Adam to the second power. I'm okay with math, but yes, I did. Oh, Brian, that's mischievous. That is very mischievous. What up, Rankety Dankety? Rankabot. We used to work together. I did a superhero girl together at my old company called Headlights, and her headlights and her boobs lit up. That was her special power. Night of the Living Dead is great. There's also a Thing board game, and Pendragon is incredible. Yeah, I'm interested in board games. I mean, again, that's a whole other market. So if they have 6,000 backers for Night of the Living Dead, maybe that gets us another 500 College of the Dead backers, for the books, that alone. Right. So it's worth having a conversation.
It's an add-on, and it's connected to it, and they can add it to their campaign, add it to their budget. So we're talking to them. Yeah. Well, Adam, I did a superhero as well.
We're not done with you. You got to stay on another 2 hours. This is going to be the longest stream ever. Do you have 5 minutes to explain what you're doing with this Netflix project? You said that you could discuss it, and then we'll let you go.
Oh yeah, of course. So it's an interactive series. So for anyone who's familiar, they've done a few of these with their animated series Boss Baby. They did it with Stretch Armstrong. They've done it with Black Mirror. It's a Bandersnatch, where it's Choose Your Own Adventure TV. And so they usually have, and they did it with like Kimmy Schmidt, a comedy, where they'll have an episode where you can, as an audience member, you just can click choose this, stab this person, run around the corner, or jump in the getaway car, and you can, it's a Choose Your Own Adventure TV show. And so right now I'm writing one that deals with the paranormal world. I can't say anything beyond that, but it deals with the paranormal, and it's active. And,
very interesting.
And it's exciting, and it's I did a TV series before this called Escape Tonight, which has a lot of game-like elements to it, and so that was part of how I got the job.
Well, very, very cool. We could certainly talk a lot more. I kept you an hour and a half now, and
well, it's good to be with you, dude. Good to be with you.
It's a pleasure. A lot more we can talk about. It's very interesting. Kill Journal is a really interesting project. Now I'm really interested in this mask thing. This is going to possess me for a while. I'll have to walk around, go out the house and walk around outside a little while thinking about it. This is very impressive. It's very impressive to do, $2,210 masks out of nowhere, even though it looks so cool. And whether it's profitable or not doesn't matter. This does add a lot of dimension to the property. Are you thinking of doing an Asunder graphic novel now?
There has definitely been talks about doing that. The thing about that is the audiences aren't quite as merged as you'd think, or at least not for myself yet. And so I'm probably going to be doing some adventures. I had this talk with Tom about maybe doing like an adventure campaign that had also like a 22-page comic inside of it. That could be a fun thing. So I've been trying to debate on how to best do that. But that World of Asunder has a whole long lineup of products that will be launching, something in October this year, and something early next year. So it's kind of deep in its product line. But I would like to.
And after the journal, you have other comics projects coming. Anything you want to mention?
I do have 2 things scurrying up. One, I have a story that I'm going to release digitally in 6-page stories that will be free to all of my backers so far.
Oh, cool.
It'll be a free story for all of them that I just want to do something to throw back. And hopefully maybe at the end of the year, I'll collect it into a work. And if people like it, we'll do something with it. So that's one thing. And you're going to start to see some stuff teased out about it probably the next couple of weeks. And then I have another graphic novel that is headed for Indiegogo. In May, I want to get the 8th delivered and the Kill Journal coming before I start getting ready to launch that. But it's like I said, it's an adventure tale around 2 teenagers whose parents are getting a divorce, and they get caught up in this supernatural world, which is reflective of that struggle. And it's called Kids and Monsters.
When you're ready for sign up, let us know, because we can do a show talking about it. Start to get sign-ups for it. It's great to have the sign-ups in advance just to see how people are responding to whatever it is that you're putting out.
Super important.
Yeah. It's great because if you sign-ups aren't sales, but if you get much less than you thought, then like, all right, I may have a problem, I have to adjust. Or if it's phenomenal, then you also get great information on that. So that's very good. Thanks so much for being on the show. And guys, definitely check out the Kill Journal. Links in the description. I know we've been sharing links all night. You guys have really, really been helpful. Even the Replicator, even Brian Blevins. No, you guys it's very fun to hang with you guys. And we kind of come up with these ideas. You guys are asking great questions in the chat too. And we can definitely have Adam again and come back and talk more about just some of this different cool stuff. It's the role-playing game stuff is so interesting. I've been watching that for years. Also, I used to play D&D. So you play it, you're into it, and you see figures, and you're like, wait a minute, I could be doing this. I gotta make some kind of game or something. But then, of course, every project is just so difficult to do and to do really well. But our Kill Journal looks great. Very unique project, guys. Back the mask tier if you can. If not, $40, not bad for how many pages? We're more than 80, right?
Yeah, you're 112 pages. We unlocked all the stretch goals.
12 pages. Good Lord. That's a big, juicy book. It's a big, juicy book. Definitely check it out. All right, guys, definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell for notifications. Don't forget to check out The Mermaids at epicmermaids.com and my other book, College of the Dead. That one is shipping at collegeofthedead.com. Appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for supporting Kill Journal. I will see you again tomorrow night with another very cool interview. It'll be a surprise. We'll see what happens. And I'll see you guys then. If I don't see you, I will miss you. Thank you, guys. See you soon.